Hi everybody, welcome to MSTM 4025. This is a course in Applied Statistics. My name is Mary Pippi and I'll be your instructor for the term. I'm an instructor here with the Marine Institute, and I have been with the Marine Institute now for 30 years this year, and I have been teaching statistics for a pretty long time. I first instructed this course in an online environment last fall, and believe me, it was a learning experience for both me and the students, but we got through it. So this will be my second time around, and hopefully it'll go a little smoother this coming semester. This course has a lot of content, and we're going to be moving through the material at a pretty steady pace. The content, like any math type course, is sequential, and each chapter builds on previous material, so it's essential that you keep to the course schedule. In addition to the descriptive and inferential statistics that we are going to be covering in this course, we're also going to be learning to use MiniTab, which is a statistical software package that's used in many universities and many workplaces. To aid you in this, I have created a fairly large number of instructional videos which are posted in the content section of our course. And I'll take you through that now shortly. My contact information is shown under the instructor bio, and of course you can email me through the course email. Please don't hesitate to contact me should you have questions. I would also hope that you help each other out. For this reason, I've created a number of discussion folders that in which you can post questions. I'll try to respond in a timely manner. But if you happen to know the answer to a question and can help a fellow student out, please don't hesitate to wade in. While we are skimming the surface of the field of statistics, I do hope you will come away with a few skills you can use in other courses you might do, or perhaps even in your workplace. So now let's have a look at our course homepage. As usual, of course, there's course content, which I'll get into here in a second as soon as my computer starts to respond. There's the communication tab. We have our class list, and there are some discussion folders located there. And under the assessment tab, there's a number of drop boxes, which you will see for your assignments and later on for our term tests and our final exam. But let's go back to course content. So under this tab, under course information, there are a bunch of tabs set up here. This video I'm creating is going to be located under this tab here. There's a little blurb there on me. You can have a look at that. Under course syllabus, you will see the main topics that are going to be covered in this course. And our evaluation scheme is listed right here. So we've got these weekly self-tests I'll talk about here shortly. 10%. Term assignments are 20%. There are 2 term tests, 15% each. And then there's a final exam of 40%. Okay, moving along. So to continue on with our course evaluation, I have set up 10 self-tests. These are all going to be done through the Pearson's MyMathLab or MyStatLab, whatever the heck it's called. I think I called it here MyMathLab, but it's probably MyStat. Doesn't matter. And as I'll talk about here in a minute, you have to buy your textbook because your textbook gives you access to the Pearson MyStatLab, and it's through the Pearson website that you're actually going to do these self-tests. So the self-tests are set up to give you some exposure to the types of questions you are likely to see, certainly on your first term test. And they also help you get up to speed for when you are going to be working on your assignments as well. So these weekly self-tests are all done through the Pearson MyStatLab. They will be graded automatically by that program. And by the way, each time you go back into a question, because you can go back in multiple times, the question may change slightly, the data may change, so you're not necessarily doing exactly the same question every single time you go back in. Under the assignments, there are 7 assignments in this course, and they are worth your 20%. The assignments are going to be submitted as Microsoft Word documents. I have specified no PDFs. And the reason for that is that I am going to be marking them electronically And if you've screwed something up and I need to show you how to do it in MiniTab, then I'm going to need to be able to copy and paste graphs and that sort of thing into your assignment, and that's pretty hard to do when you're dealing with a PDF, so make sure it's a Word file. Alright, your term test, there's going to be two. The first one it says here is going to operate pretty much the same as the self-tests, which is why you need to be doing these self-tests. And the difference is that your self-tests are set up so that you can go back in multiple times. You can do them as many times as you like. I don't care. And it's really for you to gain some mastery over the types of questions you might see. When it comes to doing your first term test, however, you're going to have a finite period of time to do that, and you're only going to get one crack at the question. Once you answer it, that's it. Term test number 2 is going to be very similar to the format of our assignments, as it says right here. People will get different questions, data sets are going to vary, and this one is going to operate like an assignment, and like an assignment, you're going to submit it through a Dropbox. And your final exam is kind of going to be a combination of questions that are similar to those on the self-tests, and then questions that are similar to assignment questions. And as I've said here, there will be more about that later on in the term. Alright, what do we got next here? So startup instructions, okay, read through your course outline, your evaluation scheme, etc. The requirement for this course, you absolutely must have the textbook, which is available through the MUN bookstore, and as it says here, for roughly $117. That gets you an access code and gives you access to the MyStatLab plus the e-text, and you'll also get a 3-hole punch loose leaf text that you can stick in a binder, so you'll actually have your text in a hard, well, not quite hardcover, but anyway, actual paper form. And the other thing that you're going to need for this course is access to MiniTab 17. And there's a link here as to where you can get that. You can get access to it for a 6-month period for roughly $30 US, and both Mac and PC versions are available. Now, when you go to On the Hub, there is a MiniTab 18. Don't bother to get it. I don't think there's much of a difference between 17 and 18, but just so that everybody's working on the same page, I want you to get the MiniTab 17. Alright, other things here, when you go to log into the Pearson MyStatLab or MyMathLab or whatever they call it, there are some instructions here from Pearson as to how to do that. So I'll leave you to read that, and if we have issues we can deal with it later. Alright, oops, I got a little tab here on my page, which I don't think is available on yours, which I have to talk about. But anyway, if I scroll down here, this student link right here, MyStatLab All Assignments, this will take you into the self-tests as well as your first term test. Now I'm just going to close this tab for a moment. I'll come back to that. Last semester we had issues with the bookstore, and we didn't have access to the text for a few weeks. And so we had to set up this 14-day temporary access, which you still should be able to do. And by the way, this is a good idea in the event that you're not really committed to doing this course and kind of want to try stuff out. You could get your Pearson access for the first 2 weeks of the term, come in and have a look at the self-tests and the textbook and all of that stuff, and decide whether or not you really want to continue with this course. Stats isn't for everybody, and Stats Online is certainly not for everybody. Some people might do better if they were doing statistics in a classroom. But anyway, because you'll have access to the Pearson thing for 14 temporary days, I'd suggest you might want to try this and just try this out for a bit. Okay, so moving on to the next tab, I've created a little video here to show you how to work through the self-test from Pearson. You can have a look at that yourselves later. The next tab here takes us into the course timeline for the semester. So we're set up here by weeks, and of course we're starting the course on a Thursday, so I've kind of rolled those into the into weeks 1 and 2. So it tells you here what chapters and what page numbers we're covering for any given week. And also your self-tests are listed here, and you are expected to have these self-tests done by the Sunday. So for example, self-test 1 and 2 should be done by January 14th, which is a Sunday, and then self-test 3 should be done by the 21st, etc. So there's our basic schedule. The midterm break here is in week number 8, and I don't have anything scheduled for that week. So that takes us into the timeline and the timing of the self-tests. The next tab takes us into when assignments are due and what chapters are covered on each of these assignments. And they're all due for the most part on a Sunday, except I think the last one, April 6th, is a Friday. And I'm going to leave that one, I think, as the Friday, but we'll see what happens as it goes forward. And next tab gives us the dates for our 2 term tests and the chapters that are covered there. All right, what else have we got in here? All right, under the Resources tab, I'm going to go to the Resources tab here down a minute and show you what's in there, so I'm not going to blab over that. And some housekeeping issues here. I have suggested that you print the PDF versions of the notes, and the reason for that is because when you are doing your self-tests or when you're doing your term test 1 or 2, it's always helpful to have a hard copy of the notes rather than having to be flicking back and forth from one tab to another within the website itself. Otherwise, I'm not going to belabor that. You can read through that. All right, now, testing. Well, all right, that's not, you guys don't see that. So let's have a look. Now we have got course notes are in here 3 different ways. And how come? Well, for one thing, when it comes to my dealing with this course, it's easier for me if the notes are in a web page version. But the other thing about this, if I go to chapter 2, and here's basically our notes that would have originally been done in PowerPoint. So here's individual slides all run together. And the reason this is set up is so that you can launch, when you see in the PowerPoints, you're going to see reference to videos that show you how to do things in Minitab or whatever. You can launch these directly from here. So, all right, I'm going to quit that. So your notes are here, as I said, in web page form. They are also in here. Come on, come on, come on. They're in here as PDFs. And I've set up these PDF documents so that there's 2 slides on every page, which makes it easier for printing. And they're in here as PowerPoint slides as well, if that's what you want to look at. Now, under the Resources tab, there is a tab here for data files. There are data sets from the textbook that come with the textbook, and there's data sets that I've used in notes and data sets that you might need to use for assignments. So they're all going to be listed here. The other thing you're going to see here are Minitab videos, and they're listed here alphabetically, and you're going to have to keep on loading more because there's a ton of these. And by the way, you can access these. These all link out to YouTube. So all of these videos are on YouTube, and they're on a channel called MSTM 4025. So as you can see, there's quite a number here, and don't get too weirded out. You'll watch them as they pop up in the course. All right. What else have I got here? Statistical tables. These are a couple of tables that are include it with your textbook, but it's nice to have them here if you need to reference them, and you won't see them, but I have data sets set up for some of the term tests, and you will get access to them as those or at the time that the term test is scheduled, and the same thing with your final exam. So that pretty well is it. Oh, except for, which I must show you, there is a little widget here which says Access Pearson Homework and Term Tests here. Click on that, and that will take you into the Pearson website. Now, presumably when you first click on this, when you start your course, you will get some instructions as to how to get yourself signed in. You will see MyStatLab All Assignments and the course home. So the course home, you'll have access to your e-textbook, and under this one right here, you will see a list of all the self-tests. There's an orientation one that's here that should take you about 2 minutes to work through, maybe 5 minutes. And the rest of these are all here. They're scheduled. And then at some point, which you cannot see at the moment, but you will have your term test number 1 will pop up through here as well. And this thing comes in a separate tab, which when you're done with it, you might want to close that out. All right, so that is the basics of our course, and I hope everything will go without too much difficulty this term.